Drugs, spirituality, and the ego. Let's talk about it. So, as I'm making a series about all the drugs that I've taken, basically in the same style as my GHB GBL video, I want to take you along in three things that I think are important to stay cautious on when you take drugs or when you go into the club lifestyle as here in Berlin. Coping with reality and noticing how sensitive I am. So, as I've mentioned, the first 3 years that I moved to Berlin, I was going out a lot and I was using quite some drugs. I was mostly going out every weekend. But that also made me realize that my whole reality changed. If you go out in the weekend and then you have the week to recover and you repeat that every time, your reality is basically within the clubs. And especially like if you notice that everyone is basically fun when they're high, or well, most people. Um, but that creates a reality where that becomes more important than normal life. That's something to be cautious. So now that I'm becoming more healthy and then I'm really focusing on my health in the last year already, or last 2 years, I notice how sensitive I am. And I notice that for me to cope with my sensitivity, at the point that I got to Berlin, using drugs was definitely a cope to handle that. Now that I'm not using it, I notice that I'm becoming even more sensitive. So it's still sometimes a bit iffy. I can definitely use my sensitivity for something good, but that's still a balance. And in the years that I went out and that I was using drugs a lot, I was hiding my sensitivity by using drugs and to not deal with myself. And yeah, that's definitely something, it's not healthy to do it like that because there will be a point that everything comes out. What I also noticed the last year of that when I started to go out, drugs weren't just necessarily fun anymore. Especially since I noticed that I was hiding my feelings. Drugs didn't hit the same. Just didn't enjoy it so much. Don't see drugs as the solution. So if you're busy with yourself, that can either be spiritually or that can be since you're struggling with yourself, emotional, whatever it is. Don't see drugs as the solution. I know that I see drugs as a tool, especially psychedelics. They can definitely be helpful. I'm super happy that I had the experience of an ego death because it made me stand back more from, well, certain traumas that I had in my life. Um, but it's not a solution. So sometimes I talk with friends and then they were like, yeah, but when I'm on drugs, I can talk about certain things, I can be open and etc. And that's due to the drugs. And I never liked that view of it because um, then sometimes I had the understanding that they needed the drugs, yeah, be busy with their emotions. I think that's not healthy to look at it like that. If you learn certain things while you're on drugs, please make sure that you take them into account when you're living your normal life and that you try to work on that. It's just, it shows you something that you can use maybe in your normal life, but don't see it as that it's thanks to the drugs. Because sometimes I noticed that people became dependent on drugs, and yeah, then you talk about addiction or dependency on substances is never a good thing. And then the last thing is external validations, and that goes both in terms of the drugs or just club lifestyle. So what I noticed for myself, especially once I got here in Berlin, at that moment I wasn't really happy with myself. Physically not, I wasn't very secure with myself. I was struggling with the fact that people even liked me or that I liked myself. But it was nice once I started to go out that I started to see that, well, people like me. I'm a happy guy. People are interested in who I am. But that also brought a lot of external validation. And the external validation is, of course, nice, but it also caused me to enjoy my life really there and nothing else, because from club lifestyle was the moment where I got my external validation. It's nice to get external validation, but don't let it be the reason why you go out, and don't let it be the reason why you always need to get in touch with new people. Especially since I went to Malta and I was there a lot on my own, I really noticed that it was for me healthier to continue that at least a bit more, and not always try to get new friendships and get new people in my life to just get that external validation. Because at the end of the day, the validation, of course, needs to come from yourself. So yeah, basically the three things that I would be cautious with if you talk about spirituality and the ego and drugs itself. Especially here in Berlin, where drugs are, well, we are quite open with it. Just make sure that you're safe. Just make sure that your reasoning as well to go out is right. And stay away from FOMO that you have to go out. Oh well. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them. Next week I'll also do a Q&A. And then from next week on I will also start sharing those videos about all the drugs that I've taken. And then for now there is nothing else to say than big hug, much love, and then I see you in the next one. Ciao ciao.